Building your own home studio is the beginning of a new chapter in your musical career. Being able to record your own songs, mixing and mastering them the way you want them to be heard, will allow you a new kind of creative freedom and may attract a much wider audience to your music. But how do you select the right pieces of equipment for your home studio?
Welcome back to the Neumann Home Studio Academy. In this tutorial series, we'll cover the basics of building a recording studio in your own four walls. And in this episode, we'll talk about the essential gear. What do you need to record and to mix your own music? And how do you make the best out of a limited budget?
Audio recording these days is computer-based, so a central piece of equipment is a Windows or Macintosh computer with appropriate recording software. For basic song demos, even an iPad may suffice, but for more sophisticated arrangements and mixes, a tablet computer is rather limited. A Windows or Macintosh computer will give you almost infinite possibilities.
That's right. The funny thing is, even though your computer is a central piece of equipment, it doesn't really matter what kind of computer you use, whether it's a laptop or a desktop or a Macintosh, Windows, it doesn't make a difference in sound.
Of course, you need a certain amount of processing power, but if your computer is no older than 5 or 6 years, it will likely be fast enough to run the latest recording software.
So, why don't you use the computer you already have? But now, let's talk a bit about software.
For recording your music, you need software that can record and play back several tracks at the same time. Such multi-track recording software is usually called Digital Audio Workstation, or DAW, usually pronounced as one word, DAW.
And the type of DAW software you're using doesn't make a difference in sound, but it does make a big difference in your workflow. So it's a good idea to try out a few DAWs in order to find the DAW that suits your style best.
Many manufacturers offer entry-level versions of their DAW software. These are feature-limited, but have everything you need to make your first recordings. Here are a few popular choices. Pro Tools First by Avid is a free version of the DAW that's used in most professional studios. Studio One Prime by PreSonus is a very capable modern DAW that is also offered for free. Cubase LE by Steinberg and Ableton Live Lite come as bundled software with many audio interfaces. Both Cubase and Ableton Live are extremely popular among project and home studio producers. Reaper by Cocos is a very flexible modern DAW which is offered as shareware with a 60-day trial period. And Apple Logic is very popular on the Macintosh platform. However, no trial version is available.
Right. So now we have a computer and we have software. But how do we get sound into the computer and out of it? That is exactly what an audio interface does. Now, your computer may already have built-in inputs and outputs for audio. Those may be okay for entertainment purposes, but for music production, you'll need something more sophisticated.
Audio interfaces usually come as external boxes with a number of audio inputs and outputs. Modern audio interfaces connect to the computer via USB or Thunderbolt.
Yeah, which you choose, USB or Thunderbolt? Well, Thunderbolt is very fast and is very elegant, but it's a rather expensive technology. USB, on the other hand, is not as fast, but it has more than enough bandwidth for a small audio interface. So assuming you're on a limited budget, get yourself a USB audio interface. Okay, so now what about the other features?
2 input channels are usually enough to get started. The input channels must be able to accommodate different types of sources. Microphone signals, line sources such as outboard gear, as well as synthesizers and drum machines. In addition, there should be at least one high impedance input for instruments with magnetic pickups, such as bass and guitar.
Yeah, and these can be two separate inputs or one so-called combo input.
If you plug in an XLR, you're in the mic input. If you plug in a 1/4-inch TRS jack, you're either in the line or in the instrument input. Some audio interfaces have a separate jack socket for instruments. Others have a line instrument mode switch.
So much for the inputs. What about the outputs?
For an entry-level audio interface, 2 output channels are sufficient. As these will be used to connect your monitor speakers, your audio interface must have a level control to adjust the playback volume. In addition, your audio interface must have at least one headphone output with a separate level control.
Yeah, and you may wonder what these 5-pin connectors are good for. Well, this is an integrated MIDI interface for keyboards and for drums and for controllers. MIDI does not transmit audio. MIDI only transmits note information and controller data. Okay, now we have one last connector to talk about. This is the power socket.
Not all audio interfaces require a power supply. Many small audio interfaces work buzz-powered, which is to say, they receive the power they need from the computer. While it's convenient to dispose of an additional power supply, it often comes at the expense of sound quality. As the amount of energy available on a USB 2 port is fairly limited, power saving takes the priority over audio quality. Buzz-powered USB audio interfaces may suffer from noisy preamps and/or underpowered headphones outputs.
Yeah, so you want to get an audio interface with its own power supply. Yeah, and there's another reason too. You see, buzz-powered audio interfaces may not supply enough power to your microphone, because in a studio environment, we tend to work with condenser microphones.
Condenser microphones offer superior sound quality compared to dynamic microphones, which are typically used on stage. But the circuitry inside condenser microphones requires energy. This is achieved via so-called phantom power.
Yeah, okay, this is a microphone. Hello, hello, testing, testing. Doesn't work yet. Now, I press this button right here. It's the phantom power button. And now the audio device sends 48 volts through the microphone cable to the microphone.
Hello, hello. Testing, testing. It's working. See?
No batteries needed. How cool is that?
However, some buzz-powered audio interfaces may not supply as much energy as the microphone requires. As a result, the microphone may not sound optimal, or it may not even work at all. You can easily avoid such problems by getting an audio interface with its own power supply.
Right, so much for now. If you want more information on audio interfaces and other topics, please check out our text tutorials. You'll find a link below this video. In our next episode, we'll be talking about what matters most: microphones and monitoring. Until then, enjoy recording, and we'll see you soon at the Neumann Home Studio Academy.